we're just going to give some overview information about our graduate program in the geosciences and marine chemistry and geochemistry at Scripps Institution of Oceanography. I'm Kathy Barbeau. I'm a professor in the marine chemistry and geochemistry curricular group, and Emily Chin is also here and organized this presentation. She's an associate professor in the Geosciences curricular group, and there will be other faculty here, I think, that you'll be able to speak with. So just a brief outline. I'm just going to go through a little bit about the admissions process and the Geosciences program in particular, and then we'll talk a little bit about the curriculum requirements for both the marine chemistry and geochemistry and the geosciences curriculum. And then we'll break out into separate groups, one for marine chemistry and geochemistry and one for geosciences, to talk more specifically about our the faculty and research themes and opportunities in each of those. And then we'll have just question and answers. Okay, so yes, our admissions process, we're assuming our candidates have a bachelor's or master's degree in one of the physical sciences or biological or earth sciences. Mathematics or engineering is also okay. Generally, we're looking for a B or better average in your upper division courses or prior graduate study. We're expecting a certain amount of preparation in terms of mathematics through differential integral calculus, physics, chemistry, including lab courses, and of course, additional physics, chemistry, and mathematics is always great. We are not requiring the GRE exam any longer for our admissions process. So this is just some more specifics about the geosciences and marine chemistry and geochemistry curricular groups. This is some of the text that we have, I think, from our website. Yeah, we're looking for a earth sciences major. I know in the marine chemistry and geochemistry curricular group, we're particularly looking for students that have a major in chemistry. That's a big plus for us. Emily, do you want to say anything about for GS?
For GS, I don't think we're super picky, but definitely we expect students to come from like a STEM major. So if they have a bachelor's in geology or any of the topics that Kathy already mentioned, that's great. Chemistry is also included.
Okay, yeah. For MC and G, chemistry, we do look for people that chemistry majors, although you could have a major that in something else or related field, like maybe you're a marine science major with a concentration in chemistry or something, or you have a background more in biochemistry and you're interested in applications to biogeochemistry, so that's fine too. This is just an overview of Scripps as a whole, in that we have Scripps is a little bit complicated. We cover such a broad range of disciplines. So Scripps is divided into 3 general academic programs. The Climate, Oceans, and Atmospheres program, the Geo program, and then the Ocean Biosciences program. And then within each of those programs are different curricular groups. So the one that we're talking about today is the Geosciences program. And within Geoscience, we're focusing on the Geosciences curricular group and the Marine Chemistry and Geochemistry curricular group. The Geophysics curricular group is having their own separate information session. So this is a joint session for these two. But this also just gives you a flavor of other groups we have at Scripps, Applied Ocean Sciences, Climate Sciences, and Physical Oceanography, and then Biological Oceanography and Marine Biology. All of these different groups are having information sessions, and there is a lot of interaction between students in these different curricular groups and different programs. I think in ocean sciences and earth sciences, we all support interdisciplinary science, and so you'll see there's a lot of interdisciplinary research and education that goes on in our programs. So the general admissions process is outlined here with the due date of December 6th. So that's coming up. All faculty members can participate in sorting through the applications. Over winter break, individual faculty members are assigned to read and review and rate all the applications. We want to make sure that every application is seen by several faculty so that they all get a good holistic evaluation. Then after the holidays in early January, the curricular group faculties meet to decide on things like what applicants we're going to invite to our open house at Scripps, and make early decisions about who admit and who we're interested in and things like that. Our open house is generally scheduled for dates in mid to late February, and then we typically make our final admissions decisions by early April. I don't know, Gilbert, did you want to add specific dates for the open house? I don't have those in front of me right now.
Sure. Open house is going to be February 29th and March 1st. So it's a Thursday and Friday.
Nice. Okay. Okay. So this is just some information about sort of the admissions process. It's normal for applicants to contact potential faculty advisors outside of just sending in your application. So this is something that is already happening for this year's application cycle. I have certainly received a number of emails myself, and I know that most of our faculty, I'm sure, have already also received numerous emails from prospective students. And then just about the admissions process, students are not actually admitted on an individual basis to each lab, but to the SIO program in general. But that involves usually financial sponsoring by faculty members to cover the stipend and tuition. So faculty need to have funding in order to cover those things. Now students can get fellowships, and those fellowships can be through something like the National Science Foundation, or the Office of Naval Research, or the Department of Energy, but those are limited. The department also provides a number of first-year fellowships for students. Those are sort of distributed as part of our general admissions decisions and our internal discussions. We do not admit students on TA-ships, but after the first year, there are opportunities for students to be supported on TA-ships. So we encourage students to contact faculty ahead of time that they're interested in working with, and seek out potential fellowship opportunities. We're going to talk a little bit in the next slide about what kinds of things we're looking for in your application statements. But do keep in mind that this idea about the availability of faculty funding is a major factor in our decisions. Also, just what kinds of, our faculty, do they have a full lab, or are they looking to, expand, those types of things. So there are a lot of individual aspects to it. So, and this is just making some points about, we're looking for things that in applicants that may not be part of the standard questions in the application. And so your essays are a good place to provide us with the information we're looking for. What kind of information is that? We want to know about what we call your distance traveled. So in terms of challenges or hardships that you've overcome in the pursuit of your education and research opportunities, what kinds of opportunities that you've tried to seek out in education and research. And you don't only have to tell us about the successful things. We understand that research is fraught with difficulties. And so, just tell us about things that you've worked on, whether you had, successful results or not. We just want to know what kinds of experiences you've had. And we're really looking to see that you are, really motivated and passionate about science. And so we understand that people are going to have different opportunities to gain experience. So we try to take into account really holistically everyone's backgrounds and where they're starting from in terms of, what have they made the most of the opportunities that they've come across. So that's the kind of thing that we're looking for. We're interested in diversity, equity, and inclusion as a graduate program. So, and that includes our own faculty's efforts in those regards, but also what contributions potential students may have already made to these issues and what their interests are in this arena. So that includes things like community service, your interests in social justice, and what leadership roles you've taken on. Have you been able to broaden opportunities for groups that are underrepresented in STEM? Are you yourself a member of an underrepresented group in STEM? So we're interested in that. So we want you to really show, more than that you've heard of these terms, but that you've actually taken action on these things. And it's okay to speak about, your personal values and your future goals in this arena. We know that as young students, you may not have had that many opportunities yourselves to work on these issues. We're looking for your own self-knowledge. How have you learned perhaps from mistakes that you've made and feedback that you've received? What you think are your own strengths and weaknesses, and how you plan to perhaps overcome these weaknesses. So these are all things that can be part of your application essays. In general, we're considering your academic preparation and the kinds of what have you achieved and what is your potential for achievement, and how well do your interests align with the faculty in the program to which you're applying. So that's really dependent on, you know, really individual aspects of the faculty that are interested in recruiting students in a given admission cycle and what your interests are as student applicants. And we're interested in knowing what your long-term goals are, and your sort of ability to be resilient and engage in long-term endeavors. Okay. This is just sort of a general outline of the Geosciences program overall. As I had mentioned on a previous slide, there are 3 curricular groups within the Geosciences program: geophysics, geosciences, and marine chemistry and geochemistry. Each curricular group has its own individual quirks, but there are some common features that we find across all of these curricular groups. All curricular groups appoint a 3-person pre-qualifying guidance committee. So that's 3 faculty members that are tasked with sort of overseeing your progress during your first year in particular. There is going to be a departmental exam at the end of the first year for everyone, no matter what curricular group you're in. Each curricular group has its own sort of format for those departmental exams. We'll get into specifics of those in a little bit. All students are encouraged to begin their research in year 1. We want students to pass their qualifying exam by year 3. So for PhD students, your qualifying exam is where you present your proposal for your thesis research. You present that to your thesis committee, and then once you've passed that qualifying exam, you're then a PhD candidate. And there are different course requirements for each curricular group. So we'll talk a little bit now in more specifics about marine chemistry and geochemistry, and then Emily will talk more about the geosciences curricular group. So in marine chemistry and geochemistry, in the first year, we have 3 required courses and 3 elective courses. The required courses are physical oceanography, marine chemistry, and either biological oceanography or marine geology. So you can sort of tailor this depending on your interests. Most of our students take 210, 260, and 280, the biological oceanography course, but some of them do take marine geology as well. And then your 3 elective courses, so those are your 3 required courses. Your 3 elective courses, you'll be selecting those in consultation with your pre-qualifying committee, your advisor in particular. So it really depends on your research interests. And then in the second year, expected to take 3 additional graduate level courses. We do have a seminar that we require. This is a less official requirement. Maybe it's a strong recommendation, but we do want our students to take our graduate seminar course at least once a year. So that's SIOG 268, and that's for marine chemistry and geochemistry students to, it's basically to discuss literature and, sort of critically discuss literature together. So it's a good bonding experience for our students. The structure of our departmental exam, this is the exam that you take at the end of your first year, we have a written component that takes 3 hours, and the focus for that is your first year coursework. So really it's going to be your SIOG 260, the marine chemistry course, the SIOC 210, physical oceanography, and then either the biological oceanography course or the marine geology course. Once you've done the written component, there is an oral component, which is a discussion of research papers with your exam committee. So that's just a small group of faculty that's going to ask you questions about some papers that they've assigned for you to read. And that's again going to be, at least one of those will be focused on your research, and then the others might be more general type papers that relate to your coursework. Our research in MC&G is usually interdisciplinary. A lot of students do their work in multiple labs across SIO. And many of our students participate in field work. I'll talk more about that in the breakout session. So Emily, I think we then have a couple slides specific to GS. Would you like to speak about that?
Sure. Yeah, so the GS requirements are somewhat pretty modifiable. So we only have actually one required course, which is 240 marine geology. So every GS PhD student needs to take that course usually in their first year. And then after that, it's up to you to take one of each of these. So you have to take one class in geophysics, one in geochemistry, and one in geology. And those are, can change depending on the year. Some of the classes are not offered every year. Everyone also takes a research ethics class. And in addition to those sort of core components, you guys can take additional classes elsewhere at Scripps in physical oceanography, marine chemistry, marine biology, and then data analysis or programming courses are also important, and those tend to be offered in the GP department as well as maybe some other departments or other curricular groups. So yeah, it's not really very strict in terms of curriculum. You're really encouraged to take different classes and talk to your guidance committee about options. So we sort of really leave it up to the students and their committee and their advisor to chart their coursework.
Oh, that's a good point also about the research ethics course. I should all graduate students have a research ethics class. So that's a component of the MC&G curricular group as well. Okay, and I guess we didn't have a slide about the GS exams, but you can talk about that, right?
Yeah, I have some slides in the breakout session for that.
Okay.
But it's also pretty similar to the MCG exam.
Yeah, our exam formats are very similar in GS and MCG. So.
Okay, so there's 2 breakout rooms. One's Geosciences, the other one is marine chemistry and geochemistry. Go ahead and join the breakout room that you think is most appropriate. You're welcome to jump between rooms if you'd like. If you have any trouble getting into a room, just send me a message. And I can put you in the right room, but otherwise you should see at the bottom of your Zoom screen a little breakout rooms icon. Just click on that to select the room.
Uber, do you want us to join back in the main room afterwards, or we can just take off from there?
And from the other sessions, we just ended in the breakout rooms, unless there's something that you want to cover back in the main room. We can just keep the breakout rooms open for as long as there's questions, and then end it once there's not.
Okay.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna